Hi everybody, this is Travis with Lansing Automart and Lansing Motorsports. You can find us online at lansingautomart.org or facebook.com/Lansing Automart. Today I wanted to do another video. I've done quick start videos on both the T Boss 550F and the T Boss 560. This is going to be more of a helpful hints video. This is just going to be not so much troubleshooting, but just avoiding some common mistakes. And then I'm also going to show operation of the Snow Plow that we put on these machines. I've shown the heater, enclosure, and Snow Plow before on another video if you want to see what all that looks like. But I want to go more in depth on how to use it. This is a demo unit of one of our T Boss 550Fs. We're actually using the Snow Plow on this one, so this one's a little bit dirty. But I just wanted to show what we do. We use the Snow Plow that Massimo sells. We sell them here at the dealership. Typically, this part of your winch hooks direct to here. You'll see a lot of dealers do that, and we actually used to do it also. When you do that, it is pulling more than it's lifting, and it's not going to lift as high, and it's going to wear out your winch faster. So what we do, if you buy the snow blade from us, we install it and we include this snatch block or lifting block. I'll leave a link if you bought a Snow Plow somewhere else or you're not near us. I don't ship them or anything, but I'll leave a link to a similar one or the same one if I can find it on Amazon. But if you use this, run it through here, run it up to this right here, you're gonna have a lot better luck. Like I said, it's gonna allow you to lift higher, but it's also lifting more than it's pulling. Another thing I want to show you, this is manual, so winch operated to lift up and down, but manual tilt from left to right. If you lift this up, it's going to take this out so that you can turn this side to side. So if you didn't want to push straight on, want to have it in an angle or something like that, depending on where you're pushing. I do want to make sure to explain to you guys that this winch does not have any kind of automatic brake. So you don't want to lift it too far. That is not just for when you're using it as a snow plow, but when you have the winch hooked up to anything else and you're pulling. When you're done and you're putting it up, if you just push the switch on the dash in and never let off, eventually you're going to damage the winch. I'm going to turn the key on without starting it. If you push out, it's going to lower. If you push in, it's going to raise. I let it stop right there. If you keep pressing down, you're going to hear that noise. That means you're as tight as you can be. You keep pushing it and you're going to damage something. I'm even going to take some tension off and just drop it a little bit. That's even more so when you don't use the snatch block that we include that has that little pulley on it. But if you really just hammer down on the in function, you're going to damage the winch, cause problems. So just keep that in mind. The other thing I want to go over with you, I've explained in previous videos, we include a wired battery maintainer. All that means is you don't have to take the hood off to get to your battery to charge it. We have this little port. On the 550F, we have it running through the dash because we can. On the 560s, we can't do that. You can see the big screen there makes it so that we don't have that same location. So what we do on these we're limited in the length. So this is the port right here. So you're just reaching under the passenger side, plugging your maintainer right into there, and then plugging it directly into the wall. We give these maintainers, when you buy a unit from us, any T Boss 550 or T Boss 560, we're currently including them. I use Moose Utility. That is not one that I ship, and it's not one you'll find on Amazon. You can always come by our dealership and buy one if you'd like one of those. I'm gonna link to Amazon to another one that I've used before. It's a little less expensive. It's a decent unit that'll keep your battery maintained, but I would recommend on these units to leave that plugged in all year round. So anytime you're not using it, keep that maintainer, as long as it's a smart maintainer like the Moose or the one I'm linking to on Amazon. If you use another brand, just make sure it's a smart maintainer that trickle charges and maintains the battery so that you can keep it charged up, especially when it's really cold outside like it is right now. If you have that battery totally charged up and go through my starting procedure that you've seen in other videos, you're gonna have a lot more success. If you don't keep the battery charged up, you have it sitting in a garage, a shed, an outbuilding, something like that, and it's cold, you're gonna notice a slower turnover, and when it's really cold, it's gonna be harder to start. So that's why we include the maintainers. If you bought one from someone else or you're not in our area, I would recommend buying a maintainer and installing it. I like wiring it like that to the battery so you don't have to take the hood off every time. But if you have a clamp style, you already have a maintainer, you can just take these two screws out, take that whole hood off and charge it. I just don't want to do that every single time to maintain it. I want to go over some common issues customers have, and some of them are just quirks of the machine that once you have had one of these for a while, you'll understand how they work. But one thing I've had customers call and say their machine won't start. I don't know if I'll be able to get this one to do it. So this one right now is in neutral. It's beeping because it thinks it's in reverse. You'll see the R right there. I moved it into neutral and got this light to light up. But occasionally you can get it into neutral just right, where when you shift in there, there's a little bit of play in here, and you might not get that light to come on. If that light's not on, even if it thinks it's in neutral down here, it will not start. So I've had people say, hey, I'm doing the sequence, I've turned the key, I've got my foot on the brake, and they go to crank it, and you know, if you're in gear and you crank it, even with your foot on the brake, it doesn't do anything. So I had one guy call real worried that something was wrong with his machine. I explained moving this gear shift kind of up and down and a little bit, maneuvering it until you get it to show that green light. That was his problem. There was nothing wrong with the machine, no issues whatsoever. So of course he was happy because it didn't need to come in for service. So that's one common thing. Another thing I've went over before, the locking differential. You don't want to push that button while you're moving. Same thing with this four-wheel drive switch. That can cause damage. Another common mistake customers have is leaving this either fully or partially engaged. So, you know, it's fully disengaged there, having it just a little bit engaged or even all the way engaged and driving. What that is going to do, the machine is powerful enough, it will pull it with that parking brake engaged. If you leave it engaged for a long period of time and drive it, I say long period, it probably doesn't take a whole lot of time, to be honest. What's going to happen, eventually you're going to smell your parking brake. I don't know that you can see it, but I'll explain what I'm talking about. The parking brake is actually a 5th disc rotor back here. That disc rotor is going to heat up, and what I've had before is customers call me and say, hey, my parking brake doesn't hold anymore. And sometimes they might even be having trouble with their four-wheel drive. It's all related, and unfortunately it's not covered by the warranty because the parking brake has been left on. If you drive with that parking brake on, it heats up that rear parking brake, and then there's a solenoid near it that'll get hot because the parking brake is hot, and it will cause damage. You'll not only need your parking brake either just adjusted, or you may need, you know, parts as well. You'll also need to replace that solenoid if it's melted because it got too hot. So real simple thing. Just make sure, and obviously when it's just one person using it, it's really easy to remember this. You know, just make sure your parking brake's totally off. Where we've had customers that have had trouble with it is obviously if multiple people are using it, not everybody understands it, not everybody's paying attention. You know, you shouldn't really have kids driving UTVs, but if you've got grandkids or something and they're using it, they might, you know, jump in it, put it in gear and take off and not realize that that park brake is engaged. And you just want to make sure to train everybody that, hey, we don't want unnecessary repairs. We don't want to have to bring this in and get things fixed just from lack of knowing how to use it. So again, make sure you're in neutral completely. If you're having starting issues, make sure your foot is on the brake. You're completely in neutral. Make sure your parking brake's disengaged. If you do all that, let your unit warm up when it's cold, you're gonna avoid a lot of issues that are self-inflicted. So you're gonna have a better chance of you know, having the machine operate how it's supposed to, and not needlessly bringing it back to your dealer to have service work done that could have been avoided. So I would just recommend trying all of those things. Another thing I want to show, and I don't want to over explain since I've already done this in quick start videos and explained that this is going to be two-wheel drive unlocked. If you flip this switch up, your rear end is locked. Flip it back down, your rear end is unlocked. Same thing, you're gonna hit this red button there, you're gonna go into four-wheel drive. Then you're able to slide this over and lock the front differential. Now everything's locked, it's gonna be harder to turn. Like I said, I don't wanna go way overkill on explaining all of this because I've already done some of this in the quick startup, but I just wanna explain. I have customers come in complaining sometimes of how it's driving, and a lot of times it's because they're driving around in four-wheel drive or with the rear end locked needlessly. Obviously, if you're you know, in mud, snow, you're pulling something heavy, you're doing something gnarly, you know, yeah, use it. That's what it's there for. But if you're putting around the property, you're on, you know, dry ground, gravel, asphalt, drive it with this unlocked. You're gonna notice the rear end fighting you. If you have it locked and you're turning sharp, yeah, you're not gonna have the best experience. So just make sure you keep that in mind, pay attention to what this is showing you, and you know, only use, you know, the features like the locking rear differential and the four-wheel drive when you actually need them. Otherwise, you're just going to cause yourself to not have as good of a ride as you could. And then if you're driving in grass, you know, you turn sharp with the differential locked, you're gonna tear up the grass too. So you'll just have better luck if you use the features as they're designed and for what you need them for. One other thing I didn't show while we were inside is how to disconnect this. So obviously take this off of here. You can unbolt this and then you'll have your winch how it normally is. You don't have to. You could hook it back up there after you disconnect your snow blade, but essentially all that's holding the snow blade up is this hook here, and then back there you're gonna see two pins, one on each side. Pull those pins, unhook that hook, you'll slide the whole snow blade off. So when you're not using it, you can just store it in your garage or whatnot, but when you're ready to use again, kind of drive over it, get it close, and then hook those pins up on the back. Make sure to hook this up in this configuration. I am gonna go inside and show you the 560 and how it's different. The 550 has this little U part of the bumper that makes it easy to hook to. I'm going to show you what's different about the 560 and how we address that. I don't have a 560 to show you today that has a snow blade on it, so I'm just going to try to explain what we do. This has got actually a nicer front bumper on it than the 550. It's got basically two pieces. It's just a little bit beefier, covers the front end, it's a little bit higher, but unfortunately it does not have any kind of U bolt or whatever you want to call it there. It does have your little front rock crawling camera, and of course it has a backup camera. It's got all kinds of features. You can watch my other video to see that, but what we do is we put one of these straps. So this has just got two loops on it. I'm going to tuck it through here, and this is what we're going to hook to. So you're still going to use your hook, go through, you're going to have your snatch block. Your hook's going to grab this right here because of the front camera. Front camera does have a nice sturdy metal bracket to protect it, so you're not going to hurt anything hanging this strap right here and having a hook to it. But that's why it's a little off center. It still works great. We've sold quite a few of them, and we do this. Again, I just don't like hooking this direct to your snowplow because you're pulling and not lifting. So that's why we do the extra step of putting that snatch block and then this strap on the 560 since it doesn't have that U piece. I will leave a link to where we get these from Amazon as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed these videos. I'm trying to do more and more helpful type videos so that you guys you know, get the most use out of your machines, have the least amount of issues possible. Don't forget to like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. I've been surprised at how well these videos have done. Check us out again, lansingautomart.org. You can see all the different stuff that we sell: UTV side-by-sides, golf carts, goat carts. Thanks again.